Hello and welcome to Lola's Reading Corner. Today I just wanted to share a quick video on how my literacy lessons look like. Just to give you a background context, this term we're looking at the book, our anchor text for this term is Anne Frank, a book written by Josephine Poole, and it's linked to our topic, London at War. And so we've started to delve deep into the diary of Anne Frank, into her life. And what I shared with the children is there are a lot of letters and diary entries as the outcome from this lesson. So most of our lessons so far have been writing letters in row, or writing diary entries. So I fast forward to Thursday the 27th. Our literacy lessons always start with a spelling activity. So we have words that we're looking at. So that week we were looking at homophones, and so we would continue to either practice or investigate the homophones, and the same spelling words will be our handwriting practice words, so that the kids get, it's really embedded. Often I follow a scheme, but where I can, I try to use the words that are linked to the text in the spelling and handwriting, so that children get enough practice when they come to do their big writes. So on Thursday, we were looking at using question tags to create a tone of uncertainty. The outcome for that lesson was for them to write a diary entry, but having assessed my pupils, I thought it would be too much to ask for them to look at question tags on that same day and then go into their diary entry. So we had a double literacy lesson, and one lesson we spent on just exploring question tags because they had never done it explicitly, and the other half of the 2-period literacy lesson was spent looking at shades of meaning, which is all based on how children choose words for the most effective impact on their reader. So using question tags to create a tone of uncertainty. We started with a grammar starter. So the NASs were, and again, it's all coming from the book, my grammar starter. For grammar work like this, the grammar starter, the questions I use, I try to very heavily link it into the context, so that again, it's more meaningful, it's more relevant. The children are already immersed in the book itself. So when I draw out my grammar from the book, it reinforces the knowledge a lot deeper than picking it up from somewhere else. So we try to explore the rule behind using a question tag. So positive statement, negative question tag, negative statement, positive question tag. I did find after we had a bit of practice with, just on their whiteboards in class, when they started to do the tasks themselves, at this point they found it really easy. It wasn't too difficult. But then when we got to number 6, they started to get thrown because they couldn't find a verb was or could or did in there. But also there was this common misconception that came out. Because it said Hitler hated the Jews, to them that was a negative statement. So I had to go over the fact that the statement connotes something negative, in the fact that he didn't like the Jews, but the statement itself is worded without a negative word in there. And I tried to compare that with the number 8, which says Anne wasn't happy, which, we know she wasn't happy. Again, that's telling us not something positive, but that already has a was not. So that in itself is the negative statement, not the meaning of the words per se, or what the words connote, but the fact that there is or wasn't in there, or couldn't, or didn't, or shouldn't. So the second part of that lesson was using shades of meaning to choose effective words for impact. So we often find children using the same words over and over: big, small, like, sad, happy. So the essence of the outcome of this lesson was for children to understand that the words they choose to use, they should choose intentionally and deliberately for the greatest impact, or most effective impact, on their readers. So I came up with we started with a simple sentence. I'd ask, you were feeling unwell, and getting children to kind of pick apart, what the difference in meaning was between I knew you were feeling unwell, I suspected, or I believed. And then we started to go over words. At this point in the class, I had an orange in class, so I could model to them what the different words like fling, pitch, pass, hurl, flip, and toss, what the difference in the impact or the intensity of that action of throwing was based on whichever one of these words I chose to use. And it could be contextual meaning, isn't it? You're not going to flip a football, you're going to pass, a football when you're playing, but you're not going to flip it. So there are different ways, different context and impact from choosing words. And then we just got them to, this was a quick one just to see if they could identify which word didn't apply. I did try to throw them by saying maybe it was enormous. Enormous is quite a long word compared to giant, big, large, and quiet, but they got that right. And so what I wanted them to do was to think about this word. A lot of them will use big or large. Grade them. Let's see which one has the weakest impact. Which one is the word we hear all the time and may not be the most effective depending on what we're writing about. And they were able to come up with this. And then we continue to look at, again, shades of impact, words that we'd use instead of good, nice, bad, warm, for. And finally, so you can still see us doing the spelling practice, the handwriting. And finally on Friday, they then had a chance to go into their books with a thesaurus with their partners and find out different words that could be used instead of the words on display. Again, these words are linked to the words that they would need to use in the diary entry for that day. And then they quickly fill this out to see what impact. Did it make sense? Does it work? And for the kids who finished on time, they finished up with this very quick one, which they had to do independently. So I think from the two lessons, what I gained for myself as a teacher in the past, I would have run off with the scheme, and we use a scheme, a literacy scheme. I would have run off and tried to do all two within a lesson. But having assessed the assessment for learning and the fact that I know my children means I know I wouldn't get the best diary entry out of them. So I chose to use, those two lessons to really dig deep into the idea of using question tags and choosing words for impact. And then they were able to go into their diaries. So I hope this helps someone. Bye.